Next key component to review is how that we can integrate this one with Python and how do we make it an interface reviewer so we can create other elements. We can start by looking at the script creation. If you are new to the use of Python in Dynamo, I'm going to call this one Python scripting. And we have them on the script tab. We have an editor and it goes Python script. This Python script is using Python, which means that it has limited types of libraries that we can import. So we're going to start with something simple. We're going to start reviewing the information we have from the level we picked. So we can pick from the level, and we want this to become much more digestible for the system to work. So we start by opening a Python script, and this is the interface. So primarily, we will have just two imports, that is the systems and the CLR, that is the common language runtime, that is the one that is going to be running. And we have here proto geometry, which is reading the geometry tabs of Dynamo. From that library, it's importing all elements. And since we have them, we already have the system basic types. So we need to understand that the type of listing is different. Our data entering node, that will be our input, it's gonna be the levels. Let's call it levels on capital so we don't get mixed up. And we can call it our initial value. If we read it like this, we're calling the variable to enter, then it goes the variable out. And that's showing exactly the same values we want to have. We want to use them to be our transformer of values so that it can understand what's happening. We know that levels is a list, so this is going to be our first and most basic conditional to run it. We're going to use a for a in levels, which means that it's reading all the values. We're going to use the two dots at the front, indicating that it's a function that is going to be starting, and then very, very carefully, we're going to click on tab so that all the elements that are in the index position will be running from that one. And in that case, we can review if they are similar or not. So for doing the things better, we're going to create here a result. The result is going to be our store variable, and we're going to be calling it to be a list. So we want a list of values that are responding to that particular result. So for 8 elements in levels, we want that result. We'll use the function append. Function append is like having our main core ways of understanding information. It's adding a value to the result variable called a, and if we call it result, it will be the same type of result because we're adding all values independently. Now, this is where it becomes interesting. We're going to add a conditional. If a, since it's a string, we can make it equal to level 2, 2 dots, and remember the tab spacing. So for all element in levels, it's going to read the value, and the result is being that one. It will give us that particular value. If it runs, it's only giving us the level 2 results. So we can get rid of all these settings because we already have here the level 2 result. So without getting too much complicated into this, we can also mix it around with the values we're having from elements. So let's make another quotation, add elements, and add the string. call it here elements, call it levels. It's running the same thing, but what we want to happen is to be reading the value of element when it becomes the result. We can use an a comma b in zip. The zip will allow me to have both elements on the same running elements, and we can call b result. So it's giving me the families that I'm requiring from here by the selection of those elements.